What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and I have three great guests tonight. My esteemed co-host Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness, America's strongest man Josh Silvas, and Strongman Corp state rep for South Carolina, and newly crowned Jacksonville strongest man Caustin Sutton. What's up, gentlemen?
Howdy, how y'all doing?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Awesome. So we're real happy that you were all able to join us this evening, and I just want to kind of cut to the meat. Some YouTubers sugarcoat things. I put in the title of this thing about deadlifting tips, and Josh, you know, for people that are online looking up what are the best deadlift pro tips or how do I deadlift better or things like that, I think you got all the answers. I got to say, when I was doing my predictions for America's Strongest Man, I was struggling to find some information and research about your previous competitions. And Caustin was the one who told me, said, last year at Nationals, this guy put up some huge numbers in deadlift, so look out for him there. So what would you say to somebody who's saying, you know, how can I improve my deadlift, or what are your best deadlift pro tips?
I think you guys will be surprised because for me, physically lifting weights the easiest part, but if I can help anybody, it'll be through the mind. So I'm very cerebral when it comes to lifting, when it comes to strongman. I think we're all strong. I think anybody, we can all, once you get to the upper level, you'll see that everybody has a lot of similar characteristics, strengths, let's put it that way. But when it comes to the mental edge, I think I had a huge lead against the people in the strongest era in America's Strongest Man. And when it comes to deadlift, yes, there's different ways I can teach you. We have 3-engine squat. We have our legs, we have our hips, we have our back. That's great. I think everybody knows that. But mostly when it comes to the mind, when it comes to the weight, I become immortal for those 3 or 4 seconds when I deadlift that weight. When I walk up to the platform, I say certain things, I think certain things, I truly believe certain things. So when I lift that weight is nothing for me. And I will never limit myself. I'll never tell myself a PR. I'll always think that I can lift almost anything in this world. I want to lift the world. So when it comes to, if I'm visualizing, if I can see it, if I can believe it about lifting the world, 925 pounds is nothing. 1,000 pounds is nothing. So if I can help anybody, yeah, for sure, I'll help you with the physical part. But if you can truly believe in yourself, if you can never have a doubt in yourself, I think that will take you a lot further than lift some other tips. But if you guys want to know the tips, I'll let you know tips as well.
Yeah, we can get into that as well. But you do coaching as well, right? I think I saw on your Instagram recently that you have spots open. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I do coaching as well. And again, when I train my athletes, my little team is what I call them. Yeah, it's lifting. I'll help you, your stance, how you're going to stand, how you're going to lift, your grip. Let's chalk up. That's great. But if I can help my athletes believe in themselves more, then I'll get a better result. So that's how I approach it physically and mentally at the same time.
Awesome. Great inspiration for sure. And we have in the audience Dutch American Strength. I'm going to guess that's Justin Ross Langhout. I get IG handles and YouTube handles confused, but I think that's him. So he says, ladies and gentlemen, Atlas in the flesh, moving the earth.
Sir. That's actually my tattoo. And you know what's weird was when I started in high school is when I started to lift. And people would always tell me, how strong do you want to get? And I never said a number. Well, I wanted to do this or I wanted to do that. But I've always said I wanted to lift the world. And that's weird because it came at me at such a young age, maybe 17. Then I started college, I played football. I played at a small Division I school. And I found this tattoo of Atlas, which is on this arm right here. And it's a man lifting the world. And it's just, I've always loved that. And there's a little more detail into it, but you know, he has a foundation. I'm very believing to God. That's where my strength comes from. So anything in this world I can handle. I want to lift the world. And then it just so happens, I never thought of strongman. When I was playing football, I wanted to go to the NFL. That didn't work out. I was done with football. I didn't want to play no more. I started powerlifting. And again, I enjoyed powerlifting because I love getting strong. I love training, but it wasn't fun for me. Then I started, the first day I tried a strongman was on a Saturday, and I couldn't pick up a 200-pound stone. At that time, I could deadlift 16 with the breeze, easy. But with the stone, I couldn't pick up that damn thing. It was just so hard for me. I didn't understand the technique. And because it challenged me, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, is why I fell in love with the sport. And then now, Strongman, the world's strongest man, is lifting the world. So I find it ironic that everything's aligned in that way.
That's pretty cool. I think that's been a similar thing to a lot of the other guys that we've had on here as well, is they try the powerlifting and they kind of get bored with the powerlifting, and they enjoy the strongman because of the variation and because of the like familial aspect almost, where I mean every competition I've gone to, I almost never know anybody there, but by the end of the first event or so, everybody's cheering for everybody else, and you just have that camaraderie and stuff, and like it's a very common theme that I've seen in the sport.
I definitely agree, and I also agree with the powerlifting. It is very boring. You do the same thing, just squat, you bench, different variables. But in strongman, man, that's the alpha sport. When it comes to powerlifting, yeah, you're cool. You walk in there, I deadlifted this or I benched that. But when you do strongman, there's just another feeling. There's another pride that this is the alpha sport. This is the sport for strength, and I take pride in that. I love that. That's what drives me. So it helps me, the transition to strongman was a lot easier. And then when you're competing, it's just like, you're once you walk into the platform, everything changes. The way you stand, the way you look, the way you walk, just because it's me and my best versus you and your best, and I'm not going to lose today. You are. So
yeah. And speaking of not boring events, Caustin, you recently were in Jacksonville Strongest Man, and the event that really got my attention was you did a Hercules hold, but it was a hub grip Hercules hold where you really had to have the finger strength. And talk a little bit about that event and kind of, you've done grip gauntlets before and how you got into the grip aspect that maybe some other guys don't necessarily pay as much attention to.
Well, for this past contest, it was, like I said, like you said, it was a hub lift. So it was 40 pounds in each hand. I think that's what they had on the weight matrix. But so this promoter, he always has like a Hercules hold at his events, but he always wants to have like a different form of grip handle. So he had an event in April where he had a thing called a thumb blaster. I don't know if I told you about that or not, John, but it's like an 1.5 inch pipe with like a flat piece of metal on the back, and you only can hold the weight in your hands by your thumb. So like you'll grab it like this, and your fingers are pressed against the backside, and your thumb is wrapped around the handle, and you can only hold like so much weight on that. So I don't know if they want to do it because it's like a something cool for people to see, or because it makes the event go by faster. Because I've seen people on a Hercules hold regular handles for 2 minutes straight, So yeah, it was like a 2.5 inch hub lift, which is like the equivalent of like picking up like a deep dish 45-pound plate. And my buddy Clint Moneymaker, who I told you about before, he made the handles for those. And he's a big strongman and grip guy in North Carolina. And he's actually one of the biggest reasons that I got into strongman. I met him like 6 or 7 years ago at a hardcore and metal show. And we talked about strongman there. Then we kind of reconnected the past 2 years. And he's kind of instilled into me like how important grip is. You got axle deadlifts, even just picking up a log and cleaning it to your chest. Sometimes the handles might be thicker than other handles. Just kind of like this big important feats of strength when it comes down to grip, not just a full body movement. So I have all kinds of different things that he's made that I train my grip, not just with like farmers, like regular people would.
That's really cool to have a buddy in the industry making you stuff to practice on. I got to find, is that grip gauntlet is on your IG somewhere, right? I got to find that and show that while we're on here.
Yeah. It's on my Instagram, and it's also on my YouTube channel, actually.
Okay, cool. I'll dig that up while Isaac talks at some point. I'll dig that up.
Yeah, that was at, so Clint held a grip event. It was like unsanctioned in North Carolina. I think maybe 30 or 35 people signed up. They had like novice women, novice men, open men, and then they had like kids. So they had like, I think the youngest person that competed in the event was like 7 years old. And they had like some 8-year-olds and some 9-year-olds and some teenagers too. But it was like an all-day grip event. The first event was like a, how do you describe it? Is it like the Apollon's axle that's like a square, like thick axle that you pick up like a pinch grip? I think John Paul Sigmarsson did it back in the day. So they had something like that where it was like this long. You can only pick up like 20 pounds on it. They had that. They had like a hub lift. And then I can't remember what the third event was. I think it might have been the grip gauntlet, where there's a whole bunch of different things. Like pinch plates, blobs, which is like the big ends of like giant dumbbells that people cut off, try to pick up. What else did he have? I think he had like a Thomas inch dumbbell. I couldn't pick that one up, but I ended up getting third place at that competition. That was pretty cool. I like doing that kind of stuff.
That'd be a ton of fun. I know I've been getting more into some of the grip stuff lately. Even just just random stuff in the gym mostly. And then like a little while back, I had people asking me if I could rip an apple apart. And I was like, I don't know. I've never tried. Like, let's give it a shot. And like things like that. It's always fun just to – grip is one of those weird ones. I know when I had Bobby Thompson on, he talked about it and how he was like, you know, you either have grip right now or you work on it for a couple years and then you'll have it. Like, it's not something that just happens all at once. It's one of those things that you have to kind of spend some time working on before it actually comes in. Yeah, there you go. That's the video. So you want to walk us through this a little bit, Caustin, what all you're doing here?
Yeah, so these are hubs or blobs. They, like I said, the ends cut off of like a giant dumbbell. He had some that are like hexagon shaped and some that are like actual blobs, like that one to my left. It's like a cut off circle pretty much. But this medley lasted for like 5 minutes. I think it was like the given time you had, and you had to pick up as many of the implements as you could and put them onto these pallets that had like a rubber mat on there, like a horse stall mat. And if you couldn't pick it up, you just move to the next thing. You can't pick that up, you go back to something else. I can't remember how many of the implements I actually picked up. And I don't even know if I got third overall in that event. But there was a couple other dudes in my weight class that were able to pick up things a little bit better than me. That's one of the, it's like a 120-pound kettlebell. That, I don't even know what the heck that lift's called. I felt like I was pulling a sword out of a rock or something, you know? But yeah, just a bunch of like random grip stuff. Like there's a small baby dumbbell, like it's like a Thomas Inch dumbbell replica. Trying to go back to get like a hub glyph right now, I think. There was one guy that went in the, like, I competed in the novice class at this one, but there was one guy that went in the open class and he went so fast, he was like throwing things onto the pallets and they were like hitting the wall how fast he was going. And I mean, no disrespect to him, but you look at him, you wouldn't think he'd move that fast, but that dude was moving like a blur. It was insane.
If you don't mind me asking, Caustin, how often do you train your grip?
For me personally, I do it like once a week. I usually have it as like an accessory on like an events day, maybe towards the end of the events, or on a deadlift day, just because I'm focused on grip heavily there.
I only tend to on my back. I don't train it on my back days just because I try to keep everything without straps minus the deadlift. But by the time I'm done, I even have to do like my abs. I'm hanging over trying to hold myself. My hands are shot. So I usually have to do it on probably like a leg day where I use my hands least, and that's where I work it. But I've been just doing like, for example, like hammer position, supinated position, reverse wrist curls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Using like the axles, but actually holding the implements. I actually had my dad, he built me some, I guess, like a box. It looks like a box out of metal where you pinch it, you hold it, has a hook, and you pick it up the weights. But I've never seen blobs before. So I kind of want to figure out how I can get some of those because they look pretty cool.
I don't know if my friends bought them like already separated, like instead of being like a regular dumbbell. Like I think you can buy them on like Amazon. You type in like maybe grip blob or something like that. But the pinch block, like what you're talking about, I have one that's 2.5 inches, one that's 2 inches, and one that's 3 inches. But there's so many different things you can just hook a carabiner or two and have a loading pin and work on grip. Like this is something that Clinton made. It's like a little jack-o'-lantern, and he just put like a little eyelet, like a screw with an eyelet at the end of it, and I could hold it like this just to pick up some weight. And I think this thing's like, it's at least 6 pounds. It feels a little bit heavy in my hand, but it probably might even be lighter than that. I don't think it's no more than 10. But I think you might have a good idea about what to do with grip, considering how strong your deadlift is. So maybe I should be taking cues from you.
Well, I don't. I'm a sponge. I pick a lot of people's brains. So I look at a lot of stuff. Brian Shaw has a whole bunch of those little blob-looking things. So I'm gonna try to check it out for my next whenever my next competition is, just because I want some strong forearms. I have a vision of I want to get my forearms so strong that I can break somebody's hand. I don't know why I've always had that little vision, or that's a little dream of mine, but I want that. So
let me just say loudly again, we are friends.
I actually I have to stop giving people bear hugs. About a month ago, my sister and her friend, she wanted a bear hug, and I gave my cousin one the day before, and she got mad at me because it hurt her. So I saw this friend, she told me, "Hey, I want a big bear hug." I'm like, "No, I don't. I got in trouble for that yesterday. I was like, I'd rather not give you a bear hug. I'll just give you a side hug. It's like, no, I haven't seen you in a long time. Give me a bear hug. So I gave her a bear hug. I picked her up and I popped her back. I like to hear people's back pop. I don't know why I like that. And she felt, oh my gosh, it felt so good. Thank you. And then later on, the next day, my sister calls me in the morning and she's like, oh, good morning, Josh. I was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I just got a call. My friend, her name was Annette. It's like, she just came out from the hospital. You broke one of her ribs and sprained the other. And that was the third person that's happened to. So now I retired from giving people bear hugs. So even when it comes to like the forearm kind of stuff, like as much as I want that, I don't want to hurt anybody. But to be able to have that power, that's beautiful. So
yeah, I guess
so strong you don't even
past a
realize.
certain size, you got to retire from bear hugs. And actually, Tristan Nunez is asking, how big are you?
6'4", 490.
Wow.
Big and beautiful, just so you guys know.
There's your answer, Tristan. Good question. And by the way, for both of you, seems like Justin can use some grip training, so you both can help him out.
And I can tell you what I know. I mean, you want to mess with like the normal barbells. You want to mess with the axles. Again, I hope you guys can see my hands, right? So what I like to do is if I'm in the hammer position like this, I move it in, move it out, wrist curls basically. Then I put my wrist on my knee, the same thing, going back that way, flip it over, same way. I like to do farmer's holds. I like to put the barbell behind me, the axle, the heavier one. Again, do wrist curls, but behind you, and static holds for as long as you can. And then different kind of holds. I have a big old square, and I hold it this way, I hold it that way, different ways, different positions, hold it for 30 seconds and try to build up to it, add weight. Then I start off at 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I also have something similar that Caustin said, where I just fingertips only, and I press, I hold it for as long as I can for 30 seconds again. I'll go up 2-pound increments and just try to hold it longer and longer until I can't no more. So those are the little things that I do.
I've never thought about doing the wrist curl motion, but that sounds like a really good idea. I would say that if anybody doesn't have like grip specific stuff, but they do have an axle, to use the axle more often, and definitely don't use straps. For instance, with like barbell rows or pendlay rows, use an axle. You'll have lighter weight on the bar, of course, because you can't row as much, but your grip is going to be fried by the end of your sets. I like to do barbell rows, not really pendlay rows as much, although sometimes I kind of forget the difference, but barbell rows and definitely upright rows. And I like to hold it at the top. Like if I'm picking up from the ground like a deadlift and I row it up, I like to hold it as like long as I can and then drop it down. And sometimes I like to, if I work up to like a top set, I'll drop back down in about percentages. Like if I do like, for instance, 75% of my like overhead press max, the next set I'm going to do is be like 70% and then 65 and work down from there. I like to do a lot of grip stuff as like a burnout and not necessarily like trying to hit a huge number. Just want to fry my hands a little bit.
One thing that also has helped me, for example, when it comes to deadlift, I like to compartmentalize. So if I'm doing deadlift, I'm only going to do deadlift. If I'm going to do grip work, I'm only going to do grip work. So I don't like to mess with my grip work along with my deadlift work. If I'm going to do my mid back and do rows, I concentrate more on the rows because I want heavy weight to get stronger. But after, I do grip work specific, so everybody gets my full focus or my full attention, if that makes sense. Just because I don't like to, that's just me as an athlete, I don't like to mix my things. So this, my lower back's going to get this, mid, then my upper, now let's work grip. You know what I'm saying? That's what's helped me. And for me, I do, it's called linear progressive linear progressive progressions. I'm sorry. So I always like to build up. So if I'm going to do shoulders, I start off in week 1, I start off with baby weight and slowly add up. That's how I like to train. So again, with my grip work, I like to start off with lightweight and then slowly increase. And once I hit a good weight, then I increase the time, then slowly add more weight to add more time or less time. That's just things that help me.
Great tips. And so I need to take a quick break, let everybody know, remind you to like this stream if you haven't yet. Make sure and subscribe to my blog, Strongest Man, and take out your little sticky notes and write down after this is all over. Go over to Hunger Smash Fitness, subscribe to his stuff, and watch a bunch of his stuff too. Watch all the way through. That helps the algorithm as well. And definitely go follow our esteemed guest today, both Caustins on YouTube and Instagram, and Silvas Strong on Instagram as well. So I do have to take a quick moment to let you know about our sponsor for this stream, which is Garage Gym Life Media. And I'll let the founder, John Greaves III, tell you what they're doing with Static Monsters for just 1 minute, and then we'll be right back.
Be a part of Static Monsters since I first heard about it. In 2020, you had 985 competitors from 19 countries. The idea of people from all around the world competing in the axle deadlift and the log clean press all at the same time on the same day is something that's just mind-blowing. Normally, you'd have to fly overseas, and then you only compete against the people who are also able to fly to that same location. It's a blessing for us to be able to not only live stream this event, but also be a part of bringing it to somewhere close to us here in the Southeast. So this is not only an amazing opportunity for the average competitor to be able to see where they stack up against the top athletes in the sport of strongman, but it's also a rare situation where you are literally competing head to head. And I'm just really blessed for our live stream company to be a part in some small way of getting the story of these amazing athletes out there who are doing a historic thing.
And we want to thank Garage Gym Life Media one more time for sponsoring this live stream. We really do appreciate it. So talking a little more about the deadlift topic, Caustin, I wanted to ask you, you've been doing silver dollar deadlift a lot recently. And again, like a little bit of a different variation to what most people train. And I wanted to pick your brain on how you got into that. Is that also an apparatus Clint made? Like, how'd you first get interested, and walk us through that a little bit?
So yeah, it's definitely an apparatus that Clint made. Earlier, all right, so I was supposed to compete in the competition July 31st. So it's going to be a Strongman Corporation contest. It was North Carolina State Championship. And so I knew they had the max silver dollar deadlift. So I reached out to Clint, got him to make me a set of the apparatuses you slide on the ends. And I started training for it. What I didn't realize until like halfway through my training is that it was supposed to be on a, we're going to be pulling the weight on a squat bar and not a deadlift bar. So when I posted those numbers, like, of course they look like ridiculous numbers, but I would have came nowhere close to that on a stiff bar. So I'm training for the contest, and then 3 days before, I caught a little case of the world situation, and I had to drop the contest. And then after that, I signed up for a competition in November, which is coming up in the middle of November, and they have a max 18-inch deadlift. And I don't have anything else. I don't have any blocks or anything, so I'm just still training with a silver dollar deadlift currently.
Awesome. Josh, how about you? Have you ever done silver dollar deadlift? And if so, how do you like it?
I actually haven't done silver dollar deadlift. I haven't tried that yet. This is probably my third year in strongman, so I haven't had that experience. So I look forward to doing it, and when I do it, I want to pull a massive amount of weight. So I look forward to that.
So many dollars. Yeah, I was also wondering, like, as you just said, it's your third year in strongman. Were there any events at America's Strongest Man that you hadn't done before? Like, for example, I would guess if any Fingal's Fingers, it's not something everybody's touched, but were they all things you've done before and were acclimated to, or did you have to kind of learn as you went?
I actually, in my first strongman competition, which is in March of 2019, I believe, my first strong one, it was we had Fingal Fingers, so I've had experience with it. My coach right now, he's coached at his name was Ernie, at West Texas Dungeon here in El Paso. He's had the Fingal Fingers set up. So when we got to prepping for this, we went to go get them. They were hidden, they were a little dirty, but I did have the opportunity to have practice with that. And all the events there, I did have practice with all the implements. I'm that type of guy that I don't like to just guess and see what I'm going to do that day. So if I had to make them, I would have got them made somewhere. And I'm grateful that at least my coach had them, so I don't have to go far and have to spend much just to get them made.
Yeah, I do have to say, watching you compete, you went against Marcus Crowder in Fingal's Fingers, and I've never seen Marcus look small before. It was amazing.
Yeah, actually, that was a lot of people said that during that competition. Not just with Marcus, but other people as well. And I've heard it enough where I just put. Even my brother was telling it that when we're at the hotel, he saw a lot of the athletes there. Like, hey, they're not as big as you, they're not as big as you. But in my mentality, the way I think it doesn't matter how big they are, just because. And I played football, so just because you're the biggest one doesn't mean that you're going to be the best one. Just because you're the smallest one doesn't mean you're going to be the least better player. Anything can happen. So the way that I train my mind more so is if you're 6'9" like Brian Shaw is, or if you're 5'10" like any other athlete that can be there, it doesn't matter what size you are. I still have to compete my best and not care about how big or how small that you are.
I would agree. I have Rob Kearney in my predictions to come in above mid-pack in his next comp, so maybe height doesn't matter.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, well, Marcus is an incredible athlete, first of all. He was reigning America's Strongest Man from last year. Him and Tyler Cotton. I think they kind of have similar body types, and I don't say this because Tyler's from my home state of New Jersey. It's just facts that he's awesome.
Amen. To each their own. They were there. He was there. He got second there for a reason last year. I thought he was pretty competitive. I had a lot of respect for him after this competition as well. So I'm sure he's a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, going back to Fingals, it worked out for you. You won that event, as I recall.
I had the fastest time. I even beat the skinnies. I even beat the lightweight people.
Nice.
Although I'm a large man, I can still move. So big and beautiful. And I have a little hashtag that I've always had since high school too, that big men are on the rise. So it doesn't matter as long as you're heavy, but you're healthy, there's no excuse why you shouldn't be quick or you shouldn't move. I know a lot of people in that competition thought that I wasn't going to be quick. My deadlift was the only thing that I was going to be good at. So to prove them wrong in the platform that I did, it was definitely very gratifying and something I'm truly grateful for.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, speaking of comparing against the middleweights there was a disparity the other way with the Husafel carry. So you have any thoughts about why that Husafel being only 40 pounds lighter for them, the middleweights just overall seem to do a lot better than the heavyweights did?
Well, I will say, I mean, I can't speak for anybody's behalf, but I'll only speak for mine. On my behalf, I have never seen a Husafel that big, and I'm a large guy. I'm about 3 feet wide almost. So for me, I struggled to pick that up, to get in the right position. I do think that the heavier weights have a lot more mass to play with, and the middleweights, I call anybody that's not a heavyweight the skinny folks. So the skinny folks, they can get a lot closer to that. Their skin, their belly button can touch that, and they're lean people. So I think they have better center of gravity than the larger people do. And I know for me, like Tyler Young, for example, I ran into him in the elevator. He's a great guy, but because he's smaller, he's leaner, he can get closer to that Husafel. He can hug it tighter. He can get under it better. For me, being large, I have to go a lot ways more down to get it and to get it closer to me. So for me to hug it, I have to hug that, and then in between that's my belly and the belt, so I can't get in a good position. So I think not necessarily that they had an advantage, but they definitely did a lot better. So good for them.
Yeah, all good points for sure. And then you have guys like Nick Camby, who might very well be an alien. He's good at everything. So
I'm sure we have a lot of people, not necessarily aliens, but I think we also have we can become immortal. We can be monsters when we want to be. That's why we're the alphas again.
Awesome. Caustin, you ever work with Husafel or Shield, as the case may be? I really think that thing should be called the Shield, but you ever work with either one of those two implements?
Yes, actually. You're probably going to guess where I got my first Husafel stone from. It's made by Clint. A funny story about that. Last year I was looking for some strongman stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and a local gym had some stuff for sale. They had a log, a keg, a circus dumbbell made out of like propane tanks, and that Husafel stone. And nobody could pick up that Husafel stone, or I definitely couldn't whenever I got it. It says 312 on it. I don't know if that's how much it weighs, but I think it's pretty close. And whenever I got it last year, I had to call a friend of mine to come help me pick it up because I couldn't pick. I just couldn't pick it up at all. I couldn't even budge it. It's like 8 inches wide, super slick. So I had it in the back of my truck for a long time, and then eventually I just rolled it out into my front yard, and I started carrying it little by little to my backyard. And then I started training with it for like 50-foot runs, then like 60-foot, 70-foot, all the way up to 100. And I was doing like 200-foot runs with it at one point. I did all that in preparation for my second novice contest, and I won the event. So I like the Husafell stone. I haven't picked it up since December of 2019. No, December of 2020. But I think it's a pretty awesome implement, honestly. And I'd like to see it more often in competitions. Not necessarily like the high temp, like Husafell or like the metal Husafell stones, but I like seeing the concrete ones or the odd shaped ones, like what they did at America's Strongest Man. America's Strongest Man, excuse me. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. And honestly, like the performance from the middleweights and the heavyweights for America's Strongest Man, what really got my eye was James Deffenbaugh squatting down and just sitting there with it. Like that was crazy. I feel like I'd fall over, honestly. I don't know how he was able to do that, but that was what impressed me the most out of that, honestly.
James actually had a few really good events. We had Alex Bromley on last week, and he was talking about Isaac. How did he characterize him? He said James is like goofy good on sandbag throws over bar or something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. I don't remember his exact wording, but something like that.
Yeah, James had an incredible show. But so Josh, then there was log press, and the one thing I noticed, some guys like Wesley Claiborne's famous for this. He vipers a lot. You didn't seem to viper, but the reps still seemed easy. Do you do that on purpose?
I have really strong shoulders. The Viper press, because I'm still fairly new to the sport, I don't know enough about it. I've never been coached about it. And for me, this is what works for me. I'm never really concerned about the weight. Maybe when I get to the 400s, but then when I do get to the 400s, I'll have a really solid prep. So when I first started doing strongman, I could never clean the log. I struggled at that. So, and when I got it up here, if I just did like a press from up top, put it on the rack and press up here, it was never an issue. Any weight that can get up there, I'll know I'll press. So once I finally got the clean going, it all came together for me. So it works for me. This is what works for me. And I think I have the strength, the back, the hips, the leg, the hip drive, and the shoulders to do the log clean and press. And I'm going to continue to do that. And the reason why too is because once you see the guys doing 400, 450, or going up to the 480s, maybe in the 500s, you can't viper press that. So that's where I'm thinking. That's where I'm going. I want to break that record along with the deadlift record. So I'm going to maintain my technique, my form, and better it because I know I'm going to use it when I have to break the record.
Yeah, I mean, you did 355 for 6, so that's not far off from a 400-pound max, I would imagine. Plus, this was timed, so you were rushing a little bit. And actually, I think you went for a 7th rep right as time was going by and didn't maybe stumbled a little bit because the time was running out.
Well, I did I don't have a max on the log, but I did 405 before like a year and a half ago. And I didn't think 405 was much. I think the hardest part about pressing is just you got to get used to it crushing you. Pressing's the easy part, I feel, in my opinion, just because of the way I train. But when you have it here for so long, man, it crushes you. So you got to get used to the breathing. Me doing the 6. So when I did that, I kind of wasn't aware. That's when I became immortal. Let's put it that way. I wasn't aware of what I was doing. I just remember when I was done with. I remember I was just shooting for 6 because like I think the most I ever got in my training was at 4, but I did that on purpose. I don't like to lift the same way I do at the competition because I like to surprise myself, or I don't like to give myself a limit. Oh, I could only do 5 in my training. Oh, so that means I can only do a 5 when I'm competing because I just did another event. I did a single fingers right before. So I don't like doing that. I just like to know, okay, you know what? I did 3 in this amount of time, 4 in that amount of time. So when I was going, I felt that I still had more in the tank. If I had like 75 seconds, I probably could have put another 3 or 4 more in. But when I did my 6th one, I wasn't really aware of what was going on. I wasn't aware of the time. So I was about, okay, I got 6. Okay, I'm done. But then I heard my brother, and I don't hear voices, but I recognized my brother's like, hey, do another one. So I was like, all right. So then I went back and I tried to do it, lost my balance, wasn't set for it, and that's why I fell. So now I know for the next time, and I'll probably do a lot more reps in that.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell from an audience perspective too that you had more in the tank as well. It's interesting to hear you say that about training versus competitions, because different strongmen have different approaches, right? Like Bobby Thompson will say during prep, like, I'm at 88% of comp weight now, I'm at 92% of comp. He's very specific, and he gets really close to comp weight. People like Terry Hollins, on the other hand, like, I've seen people ask him in his comments, hey, like, why aren't you practicing with comp weight? And he's like, why in the world would I do that? Like, it seems like such a foreign concept. So it's interesting to see how different strong men kind of approach that differently.
Well, I definitely, when the logs only, I like to, if I'm going to do it for reps, because if you're going to do something for reps, you got to play with it. And I'm saying this because if you're going to do a max deadlift, I don't want to touch 925. I don't want to, one, I'm not going to ruin my prep that I had for it. Two, I don't want to tax my CNS. Nobody cares about your gym PRs. Nobody cares about that. But what you do in the competition, that's what people are going to care about. So when it comes to maxes, I don't touch what I'm going to do. I stop at a certain way, and then, hey, I let my CNS recover, my body, my muscles, tendons, everything recovers, and bam, we show out. But when it comes to reps, everybody should already do that. Everybody's a pro there. So 355 is like the minimum. Let's put it that. It's not that much weight. So everybody, in my opinion, everybody should feel it. Everybody should know how it feels. You know how it's going to feel when you need to clean it. You know how it's going to feel when it's going to be in your chest. You know how it's going to feel when it's on top. You should have that experience. You have that confidence going in. For me, you know what? I've done 4 before, and I knew I still had more in the tank. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to go further than that. I've been having pec issues this prep, so I didn't want to push it. So once I knew, like, my last heavy day, I did 3. I stopped at 3. I did 4 the week before. And I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm solid. I'm going to be able to hold up. So once the competition goes, the person that I am in that competition is not the same person that I am the day before or the month before. So I think that's like for everybody. So on the day that we compete, we're brand new people. We're a different outfit that day. So that's the way I think. So when I do any of the events, it's showtime.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up kind of letting the CNS recover and things like that. So typically, how long before a competition do you shut it down and kind of just recoup before competition day? And maybe how did that differ when you were having pec issues?
When I was having issues, I'm sorry?
You said you were having pec issues during this prep. So did that change the amount of time you kind of left at the end before the comp to recover?
Well, I always take the week off before the competition. That's always. So the week before, 2 weeks before my competition is my down week, which is a light week. And then 3 weeks before my competition is my last heavy week. So I started having the pec issues probably like that 3rd week. So when I had 2 weeks out, I decided just to, for my mental sake, hey, I need to press 355. I'm not going to go all out crazy. I'm going to do an easy trip just to make sure that everything is holding up. The pec is good. I need to have my mindset good, that confidence, like, yeah, I can do it. I did an easy 3. I'm good. All I need to know is that I could do those 3. So when the time comes, that whole week that I'm off, although I'm off physically, mentally, it changes. Now you're basically you're flipping the switch. You're preparing everything the last 12 weeks that you've done. You're bringing everything together, not just physically but mentally, and you're getting everything ready that whole week. So by the time that Saturday comes, the Monday before, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a lot stronger tomorrow than I am today. Tuesday, I'm going to be a lot stronger than I am the day before. Wednesday, I'm going to be stronger than I was on Tuesday. Thursday, vice versa until Saturday comes. So when Saturday comes, you're at your best. I tell myself, I feel good. I may be sore. My back might be a little tight, but I tell myself, no, I feel great. I'm going to be a god today. I'm going to be immortal today. I'm going to lift the world today. So that's kind of, although it's physical, I approach strongman very cerebral.
Yeah, I mean, kind of on a 1,000 times lesser scale, I try to do the same thing. So the guys here know my workouts consist of, I go into the trails in the woods and I like lifting stones and logs. Like that's my workout, right? So I went into the woods one day and I found the heaviest stone I had ever tried to load. And I ended up rolling it over a bee's nest by mistake. So I got stung by 13 bees that day. My glasses flew off my face. I had to go back into the woods 4 more times to find them. They kept stinging me. More bees were stinging me. And so I get it all done. And I'm thinking, I came in to lift an effing stone, and I'm going to lift an effing stone. I don't care how many times I get stung. You gotta get it done, right? You gotta think that way. And, nowhere near your weights, of course, but I lifted a stone that weighs more than my body weight and loaded it up, I don't know, this high. So that was a good PR for me.
Well, strength is universal. Strength's for anybody. So although this is what we do, this is what strongmen do, right? We lift heavy things. But just because we do it doesn't mean the skinnier people that can't do it. Doesn't mean that a 12-year-old can't do it, a 16-year-old can't do it. So strength is universal, and I hope that this sport never discriminates against people that are just starting off, or people that just do it for fun, or people just like you that want to go to the woods and lift that weight. Hey, strength is for everybody. This lifting and being the best you can be is for everyone. So that's fantastic that you can go and you can get stung for it 13 different times, and you still lifted that stone. You had to earn that pain to lift that stone with those 13 stings. So not only did you test your physical strength, but mentally, your will, you got it done.
Absolutely. I get some good guys backing me up too. So like I weigh 183, the stone was 187. So I DM Travis Ottmeyer as soon as I got home. I'm like, is this good? He's like, F yeah, man. So I get some good support.
Travis is always so motivational. I love talking to him, and it always makes my day when I make a post and then he's one of the ones that likes it. I'm like, yeah, there we go. That was a good post today.
Yeah. So Caustin, what's your experience with log, clean, and press? Any good tips for the viewers?
Josh's tips gotta get way better than mine, honestly. Like I said, I'm still fairly new to the sport of strongman or like working out in general, so like my numbers are nothing to brag about. But most recently, I signed up for that competition, and they had a max log, and the log's handles were like way thicker than what I was honestly using at my house. And I was also doing my log clean and presses off of like a tire. I had a tire with like a mattress, not a mattress, but like a couch cushion stuffed in it. And I had to pick up the log from the ground. So I had to like figure out a way to be able to pick it up and get in the same position that I normally do, picking it off of an elevated surface. And the whole time that I was doing log, man, honestly, I thought that it was like the sloppiest lift there until I saw the videos where it looked perfectly fine. So I'm definitely not the best person to speak to about log because I have little to no confidence there right now.
How about sandbag tossing over bar? We could talk about that. Josh, some people were saying, I'll admit, me too, that you were standing a little bit far from the bar when you were tossing it. Was that on purpose? You didn't care? Option C, it was disorienting because there was no backboard. That's what Johnny Waz said. What was going through your mind on bag over bar?
So I understand everybody was right. If I would have gone further back closer to the bar, I would have hit it for sure. I didn't notice it until I saw the videos from a different angle much later. But the reason why I do that is because I don't like to tell myself that this sandbag is heavy. So when it gets heavier, for example, I can go 10 feet and throw a 50-footer and throw it over 16 feet, right? And I'm far out from it. But the closer I get, it's kind of my mind telling me like, well, what, you're not strong enough? You can't throw it from here? It's kind of like a challenge, So the reason why I walked away that far is just to tell myself, to reinforce, hey, this sandbag's not heavy. You don't need to go back. You don't need to go back. Obviously, I had to bite my own tongue because I couldn't get the 75-pounder, although that'll be the last time I can get a 75-pounder. But I'm grateful that did happen because I was about 6 feet away, and I almost got it up, didn't get it up. So now when I get 6 feet closer, not only can I throw the 75, but maybe the 80, now the 85. So maybe I could even, if I need to be humbled even more, maybe it's a lack of experience, but I knew the whole time, even in my prep, what I was doing. I don't like to be that close. I want to prove to myself that, hey, you can throw it from 6 feet away or 3 feet away or just 1 foot away. So that's why I did that.
Yeah, I mean, good information, but, not for nothing. You were very close on the 75, and you did split first place anyway, so.
I wasn't disappointed. My only PR was a 65. So I was struggling with that. So I called my coach. I have a mental coach as well. And I was telling him, hey, I'm struggling. And I'm not struggling because I can't lift it. I'm not strong enough to lift it. But it's just when the bag changes, I want to change my form. Like, oh, this bag is 5 pounds heavier. I need to throw even harder. I need to change my form, which was messing me up. So I told him, like, hey, what do you think I should do? I was like, well, any bag that you touch is only 40 pounds. Think of it like that. So every time that I walked up, I know, and I hate that on one of the sandbags, I saw what the weight was. And I hate that I saw that, but I told myself, like, no, this bag is only 40 pounds. This bag is only 40 pounds. So that's why I thought like that. That's why the reason why I threw like that. And I'm not concerned. This event is something that I should never be afraid of nor intimidated of. I still know that this event is mine, and I was grateful for the outcome still.
What was your favorite event at ASM?
Well, I obviously I have to say the deadlift, but it's not because what people think. Deadlift is not. Yes, I have a strong back, but I can do a lot of other strong things too. But the reason why I love a max event, whether it's a log or whether it's a deadlift, because you get to expose yourself. You get to expose you, your team, your coach, your nutrition, your recovery, and you're exposing like, hey, I got me in my best versus you in your best. And the fact that this is a second competition at Nationals, I thought the same way, and this one is that I'm stronger than you. I was the strongest one, regardless. Even if I lost, I have a stronger deadlift, and deadlift is a test of sheer strength and will. It's yes, it's physical, but it's mental too, because once you start picking it up, it's resisting you, and you got to fight gravity. So, but I'm not gonna let gravity beat me. So I did something that this person couldn't do and that person couldn't do. So the high that you get off that, the pride that you take off that, that's why that made my event. That's why the deadlift was my favorite event. I did enjoy also doing the sandbag medley, just because I struggled with that during my prep. So I told myself, like, I'm gonna do good in this one. I'm gonna do good in this one. I only got all 4 sandbags one time in the whole 8-10 week prep. So the fact that I got that one and I think I got third on that one, it made me so happy. I really enjoyed that one. And to think too, none of the sandbags felt heavy for me. So I love that. So that was probably my favorite. I guess I really enjoyed the whole competition, but the Fingal Fingers is something I enjoyed too, just because I went against Marcus. So I kind of thought like, ooh, the old champ versus the new champ is what I was thinking when I walked up to it. So it's just, all right, here we go. And Anthony Furman came up to me after and was like, hey, it's like, you made Marcus look slow, and he had the second fastest time. I was like, congratulations, that's awesome. And that made me feel good. So I also enjoyed that event as well.
Yeah, he had a couple of small bobbles, which cost him. But it's funny, like you say, deadlift was your favorite event. I would have said it was your least favorite event. You passed so many damn weights that you didn't want to lift. Joking.
Well, that's the a lot of people have to do so many attempts, and the more attempts that you do, the more energy that you're wasting. So that's why for me, it's like, no, I know where I'm at. I know where I'm confident at. I know where I'm going to jump in. Usually 800's like my warm-up, or 820 is like my warm-up. So I know where I'm at after that. Once I lifted up the weight the first time, I know. And on the Fingal Fingers, I understand that Marcus had some blocks, but I did too. I was slipping. I didn't know that the floor was so slick. So even on my last one, I slipped and I went too far on the Fingal Fingers. So I had to hold it up because I got caught, and just hold it up and then just to get my hands under. So I also messed up too. If I didn't mess up, I think I probably could have got it at 20 seconds.
Yeah, we've heard that from a few of the athletes. We had Justin Kielhofer on, and like a few of them were talking about it was like a polished concrete floor and maybe not the most conducive for Fingal's fingers.
Yeah, it wasn't. And we had to start cleaning. Once we saw the other people go, we knew right away, like, hey, you got to clean your shoes. So my brother, grateful for him, he got a shirt, wet it, and it was damp, so I was able to rub my feet on it. But by the time you got to the third one, it was still slipping. Even on the second one, it was still slippery. So that floor is a good dance floor, but not a good competing floor.
We got to get you out to World's Strongest Man, get you an invite one of these days. Wasn't Sacramento? Those Fingals were on dirt, as I recall, right? So maybe a little bit of a better surface.
Yeah, man, I'm waiting for my invite pretty soon. Hopefully, God willing, it'll come. And the day it does, I'm coming for that title too.
Josh, can I ask?
Go ahead, Caustin.
Sorry, John. There's a couple things I wanted to ask. Josh, how long was your prep for America's Strongest Man? Because I started noticing you after Nationals last year when you pulled the 401 kilo deadlift. So I know you were before America's Strongest Man, you were an amateur. So how long ago did you get the invite, and like when did you know, like, hey, I'm about to do this. Like, I'm about to go up against not only the guy who won last year, the guy who won before that, and the guy who's been second 2 years in a row.
I only had prep for 8 weeks. So the invite came out. I didn't even know it happened. Paul Bowser actually messaged me and he said, hey, you should look at this. And I was like, what should I look at? And then that's when I found out about the elite amateurs. I was prepping for nationals. So my dad and I spent about a week and a half making a wheelbarrow, getting everything set for nationals. So I was 2 weeks into national prep before I found this invitation out. And once when I made the decision, hey, I'm going to do it, I only had 8 weeks to prep for it.
Dude, that is insane. Because like I'm leaving South Carolina to go to nationals on Wednesday because I'm a state rep and I'm going to be volunteering for the whole week. But that is like absolutely phenomenal, dude. And like I've got to give you major props for beating all those pros as an amateur. Like that is awesome.
I am truly, truly grateful for that. I'm actually a little I'm grateful for the win, but then I'm like, ooh, I was supposed to be on this show. I was supposed to compete in this one. I was supposed to get my pro status on this show. So now that I have a couple followers that I follow that are going to the show, to nationals, I'm kind of like a little bit jealous. Like, ooh, I wanted to go to that one too. I wanted to compete. This is the one that I had my heart set for because I lost it last year and I won 3 out of the 5. I had a lot of resentment. I was angry. It's like, how dare I lose? I was the strongest person that day, but I wasn't the best strongman that day. So that put a drive in me. That pissed me off. And me and the coach got together and made that a little slogan, I refuse to lose. So I competed back in April in a competition in New Braunfels, Texas. And I was saying that one. And once I was saying the same thing once nationals prep started. But once this prep started, America's Strongest Man, it was the exact same thing, refuse to lose. But I want to shock the world or shock the country just because this is my time now. This is my win. Like I deserve to be a pro. I worked hard to be a pro. I'm as strong as everybody or even stronger than them. So it's time. So I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to God because it wasn't my time to win last year, but it was definitely my time to win this year. And so the people that have beat me before, it's kind of like, ooh, all right, we got to watch out for this guy now. And for me, I remember every person that's beat me, so I can't wait to compete against them again just because now with my little experience, I only had a year. I only had it when I competed in Strongman in 2019. I went to USS Nationals and got 3rd. 3 or 4 months later, I went to Nationals and I got 7th. And I got my butt whipped. And ever since then, I always had like a little, this is not right. These people can't beat me. I'm here for a reason. God put me here for a reason. So the next Nationals, which was last year, and I lost. Ooh, that was tough. It hurt for a long time, but it kind of, anything that built more to my story, it built more to my fuel, more to like, I'm not going to lose. Even if I have to go against the pros, I'm not going to lose this one. So that was my mentality when I walked into it.
Yeah, amateurs certainly showed up strong, yourself included, but I really enjoyed watching Thomas Evans. He had some very good events as well, and of course Justin, who we mentioned, has been on the show, and even the middleweights with Alex and them as well. But yeah, the amateurs really showed up strong and competed strongly against the pros.
I'm a big fan of Thomas, actually. I competed him again for nationals, not last year, I think, or maybe last year. I competed him last year and the year before that. So I knew he was going, but because he's beat me before, I also wanted to beat him. But nonetheless, he did outstanding. I wish he got his pro card too, but he did phenomenal. I'm very proud of him, and I hope he continues to do well in Strongman and get his pro card as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep following him. His bag over bar was really cool to watch. He did very well.
Hey, Josh. You might not want to answer this or not, but I was just wondering, has any other like federations like overseas hit you up now that you're America's Strongest Man? Because between you and me, I am in John's DMs like all the time on Instagram complaining about how American pros, not the ones that are at World's Strongest Man, don't get the recognition they deserve. And I hope that you can break that cycle by getting invites to these other major competitions.
Well, that's the plan too. I mean, it's only been 2.5 weeks since the show, but I have been getting invites, but I've been getting invited to shows in America, and I'm ready to compete internationally. I talked to Dion the day of the show, and she said, hey, there might be a pro show in Russia. So if I get that invite or any international invite, I'm ready for it. Let me know. I'll be there.
Josh would be cool in an SCL show, a Strongman Champions League. They have some really interesting events I think you'd enjoy, and I think you'd dominate in.
Yeah, I've actually seen those. They've been coming on TV. I would like, if I had the opportunity, for sure, but I know where I want to go, and I can't wait to get there. Let's just put it that way. So, God willing, we'll see.
Yeah, so I think it's been a really cool discussion. We probably should wrap up soon. Isaac, anything else you wanted to jump in with before we kind of give the gentlemen a chance to promote anything they'd like and wrap it up for the evening?
Not too much. Thanks both of you for coming on. This has been fantastic. I love doing these live streams because I feel just like the audience, where I love just getting advice from you guys. This is a fantastic time for me to get points for my own training and everything. I was going to say, Josh, I do have you beat. I'm 6'5", so I'm an inch taller than you, but I'm only about 300 pounds. So you're a little bit heavier than me, but maybe I'll catch up one day.
Well, when I was 14 years old, I was walking into high school. I weighed at 314. Before my coach wanted to see how much I weighed, and I weighed 314. So,
well, I was a twig growing up, so I will say that much at least.
So Guan Jun's in the audience. He's one of my channel members. He would like to see you at Worcester Giants live.
Hey man, me and him both. I'd love to see you. You let me know. You get the invite there for me, and I'll be there. And I won't be there to, I will admit this. I do think because an amateur won the show, I built a big target on myself. So other people, I want to say that they're going to be against it. Like, who is this guy? I want to compete against him. And because of that, or maybe I'm putting that pressure on myself, the next show that I want to do, I don't want to flop. I want to win. And I enjoyed the high that I got off this one. But this is my path. This is what I'm here for. So whatever show I do next, God willing, hopefully it's next year, because that's what I want to compete against next year. I need to rehab and trim some weight for my next show. I'm going to win it, not just to get a podium. I want to win that thing.
Well, we'll definitely work and try and get you some more publicity doing, some live streams and stuff like this, and get you out there some more as well.
I appreciate all the help I can get. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I don't know. Do you have any sponsors at this point? Anyone you'd like to shout out? Coaches? Anything you really would like to shout out? Tell people how they can keep in contact with you. And this is your time. Feel free.
Well, I have some local sponsors that have been helping me out. So for the sponsors, then they don't like to be named, but the sponsors that I do have, like there's just from home, from El Paso, I live in a little town called Canotillo, and they're my sponsors as well. So I'm grateful for them, thankful for them. I don't have any big sponsors yet, but I hope that comes within its time. I am starting my own brand. So I'm starting my own brand of my clothes, and it's called Silva Strong. And the reason why I'm doing that is just because I use that to pay my bills so I can maintain doing Strongman and focus on Strongman. And eventually, right now, for the next couple of years, maybe 10, 12 years, I want to do Strongman. I want to lift the world. Me lifting the world means, getting my trophies, and I want to win the world's strongest man, not 2 times, not 3 times, but 6 times, so I can have the all-time many wins. And then after I'm done lifting the world, I got a vision that I want to lift the world. So I'm a motivational speaker, and I got the vision that I'll do that at age 40. So God willing, I can do that. And I just want to empower people. I want to empower people because all of my life I was the biggest guy with the smallest mentality. So I could have gone a lot further in football, but I didn't. I didn't believe in myself, and I went through a lot of depressions. I lost a lot of opportunities because of that. So this brand that I'm starting, it's to empower the little people. It's to empower the big people that think that they can't lose weight. It's to empower the people that were me, that have some gifts, that just don't believe in themselves. So I definitely want to lift the world, but at the same time, I'm going to move it as well. So if anybody could help out, I have my Instagram, and it's Silva Strong. So I'm going to be selling some shirts, some merchandise. If anybody can help out there, follow along, send me a DM. Anybody that wants more sponsors to be along my journey and join my village, let me know. I'm free. I'm open.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely pass the word. Caustin, how about you? What do you have exciting coming up in the near future?
Well, this weekend, I'm going to be volunteering at Strongman Corporation Nationals in Virginia for the first time. So if anybody's watching and wants to hang out, hit me up. I'll be there for a few days. My next competition is Rhinogeddon 5 on November 13th. Then after that, I have nothing planned except for USS Nationals in June that I qualified for.
That's awesome. You want to talk about February yet, or is it too early?
Oh, yeah. I should have talked about that. Duh. So I'm hosting the first competition in South Carolina for Strongman Corporation in 6 years on February 19th, South Carolina's Strongest Man and Woman in Greenville, South Carolina at the Greenville Convention Center. There will be like a Tough Expo going on. Well, the expo is called Tough Expo. There's going to be like, I think they have karate, powerlifting, and a couple other things on there as well. And you can find all the information for that on my Instagram, What's Good Baby, WUTSGUDBABY, And if you want to sign up, I can send you the details for it.
Awesome. And I heard that you have the best college commentator in all the land coming out for that. Is that true?
That is true. My boy, my block's strongest man, John Russo, coming down to South Carolina color commentary. Also, the competition is going to be live streamed by John Greaves III from Garage Gym Life Media, and Paul Mauser is going to be the MC for to help hype up the crowd and stuff like that.
That's going to be tons of fun.
Paul always does a great job of doing that. I'm a big fan of Paul. So best of luck in your competitions that you're about to do. I hope you have fun at nationals and hope you get a big turnout when it comes to your show in February.
Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate that. I wish you the best in your future, man. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what you can do.
Well, I hope we can do this a year from now and we can talk about other accomplishments in the years after that. So
definitely.
Your RSVPs have been received. You're welcome back a year from now.
Well, I appreciate that. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, we really do appreciate you guys both jumping on here. You've both been a fountain of information for both us and our audience. I think we've learned quite a lot from you. Awesome deadlifting tips, fingers tips, log press, grip training. I think we learned quite a lot today that's going to be useful to many people. And also in terms of having the proper mindset and believing in yourself. Josh, great messages there. So we do want to thank you both once again and wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. You have a great one.
All righty. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye now.